Hey everyone, I can't tell you how happy I am right now. As I'm filming this, I'm at just about 100 subscribers on YouTube. I'm so excited to finally be getting into the triple digit club, and I just wanted to thank everyone who's discovered me, followed me over from TikTok, found me here. It's awesome. I'm really happy that it seems like I'm growing a good little community here, and I'm so excited to see where it goes from here. But I did want to do something to celebrate. Um, Hitting 100 subscribers is huge for me. So I got to thinking, what do I want to do? Especially because I've been trying to do a lot of new different types of videos. By the time this goes up, my What Andre the Giant Means to Me should be up. I think that's the best video I've ever made, just by the way. Uh, the Geek Out Freakout's been out, some movie reviews are out. Like, we're doing different. We're doing strange and new for me, not for anyone else. Very tired for everyone else, but new for me. But when I was thinking, what do I want to do for 100 subscribers? What I ultimately came down to was I can either do something really big and produced, which is going to take a while, or I could do something that's a little bit simpler, but is still different for me and could still have a little bit of a oomph to it. And I was kind of inspired by Kyle Peterson, who's one of my favorite wrestling toy reviewers, where he does, every 1,000 subscribers he gets, he does a top 10 video. And typically he just does top 5s. So we're going to do that, but for 100, we're going to do my first ever top 10 video. And then I tried to figure out, what do I do the top 10 on? Do I do it on Pokemon? Do I do it on Simpsons? Do I do it on wrestling or Transformers? Or that can work. So, hey, sit back, please enjoy this. We're going to be going over my top 10 favorite Superman figures. Look at that. So many Supermen. So many Supermen. And these aren't even all the ones I own. These are just the ones who came to mind when I was like, who are my top 10? So, we're going to be filtering down from here. There are just a couple of rules though. One, it has to be Supermen that I own. There are a lot of Superman figures who I'm convinced would make this list if I had them, but I don't, so they're not on here. Also, they have to be Kal-El. So, no Jonathan Kent, no Elseworlds where there's other characters who don the Superman persona. However, notice I said Kal-El and not Clark Kent. So Supermen who came from Earth and are still Kal-El but do not have the Clark Kent backstory or persona still qualify for the list. With all that said, let's get straight into it. Number 10. Mattel DC Justice League Unlimited Justice Lord Superman. At number 10, we need to say hello to an old friend. This was my very first Superman, the Justice League Unlimited Superman. Even though he has a lot of issues as a figure, he's still one of my favorites. That said, number 10 doesn't go to him. It goes to his repaint, the Justice Lord Superman, and one of the only times there was a truly evil Superman that I really enjoyed in storyline. Also, I just love the color scheme, black and white, because get it? His morality, now he has only black and white morality, he doesn't understand nuance. You see, it's thematic, it's thematic. And also, it's just a sick color scheme at the end of the day. Number 9. McFarlane DC Multiverse Superman Speeding Bullets Batman. Remember how I said that a Superman didn't necessarily have to be Clark Kent to make it on this list? It was mostly so I could get this guy on here. That's right, in Superman Speeding Bullets, it was Martha and Thomas Wayne that discovered the pod, and thus Superman was Bruce Wayne. He first adopted the mantle of Batman, which is why we have this very kind of strange amalgamation of costumes, because it is a full face mask, something that Batman, Bruce Wayne, has never had, and yet it looks somehow both more menacing and yet kind of cartoony-ish. It's almost like the Spider-Man effect, where I feel like I should be scared because I see less face, but there's something more welcoming about it. You also get these amazing clawed hands with it, because this was a more brutal Superman. He still had all his powers and used them in the way a Batman would, which was to say, he used it to scare the shit out of people. Towards the end of the story, he does become a more traditional Superman, but this is still a great Elseworld story, a great concept for a what-if, and at the end of the day, a great costume. Also, I forgot to mention, I love how the logo is Batman's logo behind Superman's shield, and the belt is Superman's belt with Batman's compartments. That's a good attention to detail when it comes to combining two characters. Number 8. McFarlane DC Multiverse Superboy-Prime. At number 8, we have the Superboy-Prime. Now, this was the main Superman villain of Crisis on Infinite Earths and some other Crisis events, and he's not a character I particularly enjoy, nor that most people enjoy, but it is a good appearance, and also I love that head sculpt. It's a very young-looking Superman, and yet there's something unnerving about it, just how sharp the details are. It's very Patrick Bateman-y, and I think that's a great look to go for when you're going for a more messed up Superman. Once again, unlike Just Lord Superman, this isn't an evil Superman's character that I enjoy, but this is a design I enjoy, and I think it's a pretty cool figure. Number 7, Mattel Superman Returns Clark Kent to Superman. This one might need some explaining. Superman Returns was the first Superman or superhero movie I ever saw in theaters, and it still holds a special place in my heart even though I don't think it's a particularly good movie. For that reason, I've always had this one on card in my collection. I don't think I'm ever going to open it because it's kind of special to have memories of this toy line and this movie kind of always in the way I remembered it best, which is in the toy shelves hanging on the hooks. Also, I do think it's fun that it's a Clark to Superman figure. You can see that you could play dress up with your doll. It's fun. I might try to get a loose version of this figure one day, but right now, I'm pretty happy just to have this one in the box. McFarlane DC Multiverse The Infected Superman. Now, this may look like an evil Superman, but it's not. It's just a Superman who has taken on the appearance of the infected to infiltrate the Batman Who Laughs group. So, already, you got some brownie points with me. However, I love this take on Superman's costume, how diluted and how lacking in saturation the costume is. It looks a little bit more like a realistic take on the costume, and I would love to see this outfit with a more normal Superman head. That said, that one is pretty spectacular. I think it's really fun to see a more messed up, kind of Jokerized Superman in figure form, and it helps that this is one of the best Superman bodies that we've ever received. We're going to be talking about a Superman that makes a bit better use of it down the line, but this is still a super fun figure with an interesting enough premise. Number 5. McFarlane DC Multiverse Red Sun Superman. One of the first Supermen that McFarlane ever made was this Red Sun Superman, and I really enjoy it. I know there are probably better versions of this figure out there, especially that Mezco 112 one, but this is honestly really solid. I love the head sculpt for being such a more serious take on Superman. No spit curl, that very confident, almost glare that he has, and the general outfit works incredibly well. Aside from some balance issues, this might be one of the best figures that McFarlane has put out for their DC Multiverse line, and it helps that it's still pretty readily available. Besides that, it's from a story I really enjoy. Number 4. McFarlane DC Multiverse Future State Clark Kent Superman. Just barely missing out on the top 3 is a Superman figure that really came out of nowhere and stole my heart. I love this future state Clark Kent depicting his run in the arena in which he was fighting Mongol on Warworld. It's such a unique look for Superman. This whole gladiatorial outfit looking like he's a Spartan. And I love how some of the designs carried over. Like, I love the big S and how that logo is everywhere, including the shield. I love how the cape is attached to the S and he has no other costume aside from his Speedo. What I really love is the gray on his temples. It's very rare for us to get any type of aged Superman, and here we have one who not only has like teeth gritted ready to fight off whoever's coming at him, but he has the Reed Richards gray temples and a little bit of a 5 o'clock shadow. It's a very unique look for Superman, and I love it for that. It also helps that it's a great figure, and it comes from a run of Superman that I very, very, very much enjoyed. The only thing that could have made this Superman better is if there was a little chain that could attach to his collar, because that was something that Mongol had for certain parts of the comic book, but I understand that might be asking for a bit too much. Number 3. Christopher Reeve's Superman, as made by NECA. At number 3, we have what was a holy grail for me for a very long time, the NECA Christopher Reeve's Superman. And I'll be honest, this is the best looking Superman figure I own. Best looking. The figure is so fragile. There's so many bad stories of breakages.
And when I play with this figure, I'm worried about moving any of the joints because they all creak as if they're about to snap. If the figure was built better and had better quality control, this would be my number one Superman. This would be the perfect Superman figure. But it doesn't have that quality control. It is very fragile, and it makes me scared to even own this guy. But I am happy to own it, because it is my favorite Superman in a great figure form who at least can look good on the shelf.
Number 2, McFarlane DC Multiverse Lois and Clark Superman.
Talk about figures who snuck up on me. At number 2, this is the Lois and Clark Superman, the solar suit Superman with the beard. I've never liked the solar costume, mostly because it's always when he has the mullet back in the 90s. But this Superman, with the typical haircut and the more groomed beard with the solar costume, this is so cool looking. I love this. This is... okay, this is going to sound really weird. This has major daddy energy. And I kind of always wanted that in Superman. Well, now you got it. Look at this. See, it's like when Mr. Fantastic grew his beard. There's something about superheroes growing beards that always work, and Superman is just cashing in on the trend. But it helps that this figure is spectacular. It's using the same body as the infected Superman from earlier, so you got the double jointed knees, elbows, and the great construction. But it's a little bit more normal a look, and it's still fun because even though this is a more normal look, it's not necessarily the iconic Superman, which still makes this kind of a fun addition to a shelf if you want a little bit of variety. For all those reasons, this is absolutely my silver medalist. But let's talk about my favorite Superman figure of all time.
Number 1, my favorite Superman figure in my entire collection, McFarlane DC Multiverse Rebirth Superman.
Number 1 surprised me. Rebirth Superman doesn't feel like they should be up this high. Now granted, this was the Superman that got me back into collecting McFarlane Multiverse. There's a lot of good things about this figure, the great articulation, the great build, the heft, the paint job. But a part of me feels like it should be a more traditional Superman, you know, red boots, red trunks. For a long time I was convinced, well, this one's good, but I just need to find a Superman that is like this but has the more appropriate appearance. But all these months later, you know what I realized? No. This is my Superman. I love the look. I love the all blue. I love the shot of metallic red. I love the face, which is determined and yet still gentle. There's a perfect capturing of Superman's personality in this head sculpt, in which he doesn't look like he's about to kill someone. He almost looks like a disappointed parent, like, I'm not going to hurt you, but this is going to have to happen for the sake of everyone. And that is kind of what Superman is. He's the disappointed dad of the DC universe. Everything about this figure works for me. Is it going to be everyone's number 1? No. Is it going to be anyone else's number 1? Probably not. They'd probably say something like a Hot Toys, a NECA, a Beast Kingdom, a Mezco. But I don't have those Supermen. And of the Superman I do have, this is my favorite one. How he looks, how he feels, the type of figure he feels like, not just in my hands, but also in my mental picture of my collection. This Superman hits every note he possibly could. And for that reason, he has to be my number 1. So there it is, the top 10 Supermen in my collection. I guess big question is, what is your favorite Superman? Hell, what are your top 10 favorite Supermen? Let me know in the comments below. Aside from that, hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you so much for 100 subscribers. I'm not saying that we're only going to do top 10s for every 100 or every however so many. All I'm saying is, for the first 100, I wanted to have a little bit of a special new type of video, and that's what we did. But hey, thank you so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe.